These days I've been posting a few posts on Koan, the Zen puzzle or conundrum or paradoxical questions. So here's another one. The one I developed as a Koan is, what is your mind? Or I can ask to me, what is mind? What is my mind? How do I answer that? Like I said elsewhere, each person has to come up with their own answer, but let me give it a try for me. Because I asked the question this morning, and that's related to how we navigate by using our mind. So the point is that as humans develop from animals, we start to use words and logic. It's beneficial to have words and logic, to communicate and share good stuff, avoid the bad stuff if we can. So good and bad and the logic, that's the way we play the game as human. But the mind has its own limitation, and to know that helps us to live our life. To explain that, I think, well, usually Koan you have to explain in a snap, a few words, but this is more for the purpose of learning. So I think it's okay to say it like this. But let me stop. If I was asked what is mind, I would say, be careful about fake in using mind. Well, maybe that didn't answer because I have mind in the answer. So let me try again. What is mind? A way of human development which may cause suffering if we don't use it right. So be careful. Something like that. Anyway, where was I? Okay, so back again. What is mind? Mind is consist of words by which we connect each other to have a logic to achieve something which seems to be beneficial to live our life. In the process of using the mind, we have images and the historical resources we've accumulated over time. Some of them is easy to access, others are difficult because it's like from child days and you may not remember. But even those that you don't remember, according to, what's his name? Anyway, one of the scientists who did the research found that if you touch the electrode in certain part of the brain, the person will remember vividly what happened when he was, say, 7 years old or 3 years old, and what was the environment, the situation was like. So we have those memories and images stored deep in our mind or brain. So that's construction of the brain or the mind. And deeper further, we may have DNA. So the history of the evolution may be stored somewhere, which is, of course, not easy to access. So depending on those, we are confined by the way things are programmed. And it's a continuous programming process as a species to evolve. So in the future, we may have a longer DNA to have more added element to it as we start to evolve further than what we are. So, that us to monkey to human, and there's a new human being developed. And that's feasible because there's a constant evolution, continuous evolution process seems to be going on. I'm not God, that I cannot predict that, but this seems like a reasonable assumption as things go on. And in the process, there are varieties of people, depending upon the location and the habitual pattern, interface with the nature, in the desert or the rain or in the with the ocean, whatever the background, have certain characteristics you develop. So it's natural to have a species, so to speak, in human species, so many human species. And there may be a normal distribution of those randomness to go on. So among them, they relate to each other. And the mind can access and figure out and even come up with the AI, artificial intelligence, to use as a tool so that the use of the word can be enhanced much further. So it's a continuous process. And that's the nature of our mind and brain, as I see it. So what does that mean? I'm looking at the situation from the perspective of Zen or Buddhism or Buddha's way, or many others who may have gone through the similar. They are awakened ones. The Buddha means awakened one. So if that's the case, what is the point in Zen? I would say where we came from at the source and now is the laws of nature or laws of universe prevailing. So mind is detached from that because the root of why we are is the law, and law is not something you can describe or touch or feel. It's kind of like a God. Ultimate intelligence beyond human logic. Human logic, word as a mind, and beyond that. That's why I talk about two universes. One is what we got in the mind. The other one is beyond the mind reach. So that's the construct of the mind. So what is mind? It is a human property manifesting the laws of nature, but may be perceived because of the limitation of the logic and the word, so that we may be confused. Each sentence has a word and logic, and sentence is kind of like a linear looking at one situation. And when you develop the constitution or regulation or the protocol of how to live a life, we combine those, yet it's limited. The nature of who we are is given the limitation of the mind. We try to use the mind, not to be used and be hampered by the problem, like suffering because, like going through the bureaucracy is necessary. The logic is necessary. But that can have a negative impact because it's not to reflect on all the implication, because human mind is limited. Therefore, what is written is limited. So we have to evolve. We have to evolve along with constitution, the way of logic, science, management, whatever that is. It's a continuous process.